Hello there. Hello, everybody. It is Outer Rim Transmission, episode number 49. I'm joined by Ben and Milton, as always, and we have a very big show this week. We've been asking for it for weeks, for months, well, for really years at this rate. We have Kenobi teaser trailer to break down. That's our main event for tonight. We're breaking down them, plus a bunch of pictures from EW.com that got released that are going to shed a little bit more details on the locations and the characters in this upcoming limited series. Plus, there's some more updates on Lego The Star Wars Skywalker Saga, as well as Star Wars Eclipse. But before we get into it, we haven't done it in a while. We're going to talk about our week in Star Wars, and I'm going to throw it to Milton. Have you gone on any fun trips to your local store near you in PA or anything like that?
Yeah, I actually did last Sunday. We went, checked out the convention, little like collectible show place. There really wasn't nothing that popped out in the sense of like Star Wars that I really wanted to get. I mean, I always see the Lego Star Wars in the sense of like the ships, some of the figures. But the problem is everything's overpriced, and I'm not paying for half the stuff that they got that's overpriced. But again, it's nice to see anything that's Star Wars related. I always say to my one buddy, I said, I should get into the Lego game, or because there's a lot of Star Wars Lego sets that are very, very popular and are well liked. So, but other than that, though, I mean, honestly, this week for me has been listening to the old documentaries from the movies. So, episode 1, episode 3. I think I listened to the episode 3 one last night when I went to bed. It still holds up. I really enjoy listening to those and watching them. Like, I can't get enough of those documentaries, but that's pretty much been my week in Star Wars, is just Star Wars documentaries. I'll be honest with you when I go to bed.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I have to get into a little bit more. I tend to kind of stick with the new stuff, but it's always good to go check out the old stuff, and especially how it's made compared to where we are now with the whole thing with the Mandalorian and the screens and everything like that. It's cool to go back, see the good old school practical effects.
Right. Well, I think with the whole like Kenobi trailer coming out the last couple days, like it's nostalgic. Like actually this morning I drove to work listening to the episode 3 soundtrack. Like it's like, oh wow, like like just listening to that trailer got me thinking about episode 3.
Damn, I know. We're gonna talk all about it. The music Duel of Fates is back in the culture zeitgeist here, all over the fandom. What about you, Ben? How was your week in Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the documentaries and everything, they're great. Like I could sit down and watch them at any time, pretty much, Milton. They're a classic. They're
Yeah,
just as good. They're just as good as a watch as the actual movies, in my opinion.
agreed.
They're excellent. It's always great hearing George talk and then all the other behind the scenes people. Like that's always a lot of fun. But for me, specifically for this week, I didn't have like too many like crazy things really. I mainly just had like a just thought really. Like this week I was watching Terminator 2 just when I was laying down for bed, and I was thinking, man, like I would love a James Cameron directed Star Wars movie. Like he's such a good director, and he's so creative and everything. Like I just think he would be such a I feel like he would get it, because he grew up, he was in that time period, like when George was making the original Star Wars movies, like, obviously through the early 2000s and the prequels and all of this sort of stuff. And he revolutionized things with Avatar. So, like, I feel like his creative input on Star Wars would be amazing. So, like, it was just kind of a thought when I was watching that movie, like, man, like James Cameron directing a Star Wars movie would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a cool thought process because when you do look at the parallels between James Cameron and George Lucas, very similar. They both completely started a huge franchise from the ground up, not based off of comics, not based off any kind of storytelling mediums, and managed to break the wheel, so to speak, right? Avatar still is to this day, if you look at inflation, like the biggest grossing movie of all time. It's gotten over almost $3 billion if you compare it to today's money, I guess.
Yep.
But and right now it's it came out of nowhere, and everybody was involved. It was very mainstream. It wasn't just niche. Like everybody was talking about it, like your mom, your grandma, like everybody. It
Mhm.
wasn't just a specific targeted audience. It was something that took the whole world by storm, and it increased the everything with the 3D viewing experience with movie theaters. And it brought everybody to the movie theaters. Like, this is the experience you need to be in the movies. And I feel like that's basically what happened in 1977. None of us were there, but everybody went to that big screen viewing because you had to see what was happening there, and it brought you into this completely new world that was already fully imagined, and you were just kind of dropped in the middle of the story. And I feel like that's a lot what Avatar is now. James Cameron, I'm not sure if I'm correct on this, but I think he's spoken kind of ill about Star Wars a few times. I think he's kind of like, it's that other franchise out there that has all these people that are obsessed with it. I don't know why they are. I feel like that's kind of his attitude towards it.
Right.
But so I don't know
Yeah.
if that would ever happen in this universe, because it just seems he's
Well,
so soured by the fact, just because
yeah.
it's
That's
pure
good.
competition, I
That's
think.
because the last 10 Terminator movies been trash. That's why.
Yeah, yeah. I think also the thing is too with him, a lot of his comments also were directed at the Marvel movies. A majority of them, because I feel like the main way if he would ever do a Star Wars movie is like if George would like bring it up to him, because him and George are pretty close. So I just feel like that would probably be the only caveat of that happening. And I feel like if he would do a Star Wars movie, give him something totally blank slate, like Avatar basically was. Give him a blank slate movie, just a one-off, and go from there, like type deal. Like, don't give him any of the any of the main continuity stuff or whatever. Just give him a movie 1,000 years in the future or something, or 10,000 years in the past, and roll with it. And I feel like he would be a good director in the Star Wars franchise. Like, because that's one thing I do wish we had more of in the Star Wars franchise as a whole. That's a whole discussion there. Is like, sure, we've had JJ, Ryan Johnson was obviously a big director, but I would like to see some more of these like bigger name directors in the Star Wars franchise, like James Cameron, like Spielberg. Obviously, would be the number one candidate in my opinion. But like people like that, I think it would be interesting to see their spin. A Christopher Nolan, for example, but Nolan, it would never work because he would want like full control, and I just
Right.
don't think that would work. But I would love to see like their takes on things in the Star Wars franchise, just because it's such a unique franchise, and if they would be given a good amount of creative freedom, I feel like those directors can make amazing movies.
So Ben, basically what you're saying is, like what's happening over there at DC. There's a certain big movie called The Batman, where they kind of
Yep,
gave Matt
exactly
Reeves,
like that.
the
Yep.
director and writer of that movie. He also had a co-writer, forget the name. But yeah, he basically has his own movie in his own little like pocket universe of DC, where it's like, okay, go crazy, like bring all the characters you want. You're not tied to the Flash or Aquaman or any Wonder Woman. You're not tied to any of that stuff. Go have fun. Like, yeah, maybe that would be something that James Cameron would need, or
Yep.
somebody to his caliber. Like you said, Christopher Nolan. A lot of these people want to have all this control, but when you have the story group involved, it's like, hey, you can't really go running crazy. So hey, maybe someday, but it's just definitely interesting, and we're gearing up, man. I mean, speaking of DC, apparently they moved up Shazam 2, and it's going to be coming out like either the weekend of or within a week or two of Avatar 2, which is apparently still slated for 2022 at the end of this year in
It,
December.
yeah,
Right.
Avatar 2 actually is slated for that because here's a good segue. While I was watching the annual investors call for the for Disney, just anticipating the Kenobi trailer, they actually mentioned that, and they said Avatar is still
Oh,
coming out. The date, it was the original slated date, I think it was December 21st or 22nd. It's still coming out that weekend. And of course, on the investors call, they still had to mention, Avatar, the original, is still the highest grossing box office, blah, blah,
Man,
blah.
I don't want to hear that. They just
That
just
sort of
release the
stuff.
damn movie. Just make the movie.
Yep.
Like they've been playing around too much with Avatar, but whatever. Like
Yeah, so it's
playing
as
too
of
much.
as of this past Wednesday, it's still coming out at the end of December, but we will see.
You know what?
well,
It's going to turn into that Ryan Johnson trilogy now.
Yeah.
Watch.
Well, we'll look forward to James Cameron's career with great interest, and whether or not it'll
Yeah.
come out on time, we'll see. So, everybody that's watching live, thank you for doing so. And if you are missing out listening to us on podcast after the fact, we do go live every Friday, approximately around 9 o'clock Eastern. And if you are watching, you can download us on any podcast streaming service or downloadable site. Look up Outer Rim Transmission. We also have some t-shirts on the sale on teespring.com. So check that out. And well, I might be making a few appearances at some conventions in the next couple months. We have our Fan Expo in Philly. I'll be going there on Saturday. I think it's April 9th. And I'll be confirmed for Star Wars Celebration. We got the news that it's finally going on sale again, so we know it's actually happening, and that's Memorial Day weekend, the end of May. So yeah, the next couple months going to be fun, gearing up to get back into the swing of things for the conventions and all the crazy cool announcements that we're going to be able to see coming out. So there you go. So let's just jump right in, shall we? We got this trailer. We've been looking forward to this thing for literally years, and we finally get to see Ewan McGregor back as Kenobi. I'm going to throw over to Milton. What was your first reaction to the trailer, the teaser trailer?
Let's mother effing go. About time. Like this. Listen, this is the only show I've been hyped about that I want to see. I've enjoyed Mandalorian season 1 and 2. We know how we feel about Boba and Bad Batch and all that stuff. Like, this is the show. This is the show. Like, I mean, because you got Ewan McGregor, who everyone loves as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know, or Alec Guinness was that old dog who ran the show initially, but Ewan McGregor owns that role. I'm sorry, like I live by that. He owns that role as Obi-Wan, and now that he's still young enough to play, that in between Obi-Wan from New Hope to Revenge of the Sith, it's like this story needs to be told. Like, this is one of these stories that needs to be told. I was hyped. I mean, we're getting to the screenshots, but just the music, the feel of it, seeing Ewan McGregor, I had some issues with the Inquisitors, as you know, and I'll say it later. But other than that, though, it's Obi-Wan mother effing Kenobi, bro. Like, we love that character, and we love Ewan McGregor, and clearly we're getting Hayden back some way, shape, or form as Darth Vader. So, like, I'm hyped.
Heck yeah, Ben. What about you? First reactions?
Yeah, like I was telling you guys, before the show started, I was watching the Disney investors call, and when they said, let's take a special look at the trailer, I about fell out of the kitchen chair when I was eating lunch because I couldn't believe they actually showed it. Like, it just, it just brought so many feels, like so much nostalgia. Like you said, Milton, it's Obi-Wan. Like what more do we need? Like, we could have taken we could have taken a 10-second trailer of him just looking and been fine.
And I'd been fine with it. I'm like, it's real. Like, it's real.
Oh, for sure. And the best part about it, I just feel like it really set the tone, in my opinion, for the show. Because I don't know about you guys, but to me, the trailer felt more, I guess I would say, serious than Mando or Book of Boba, if that makes sense. More serious, more like on a higher, like this. There's stakes to the show, even though we know obviously like Obi-Wan and Luke and everybody survives, but still, like, it feels like there's actual stakes. Like, it feels serious, and it feels like there's a threat actually to Kenobi. It feels like there's a threat to Luke potentially, and it just feels like there's an actual threat that I feel like. For example, if you compare the Mandalorian or Book of Boba trailers, there really wasn't a feel of that threat toward the characters we know, in my opinion. So, like, this just really set the tone for the show, and it really just gave us, obviously our first looks at all these characters, and it felt right. Like, to me, it felt like, just from what we've seen, it's already felt like Ewan stepped back in the role seamlessly. Like, it feels like it's 2005 all over again. Like, he just feels like Obi-Wan, and I'm so hyped for it.
Yeah, I mean, I will reflect both of your sentiments, Milton and Ben. Man, oh man, it was kind of surreal to see this. Kind of surreal to see Ewan McGregor hear dialogue, new Obi-Wan Kenobi dialogue. Man, am I dreaming here? What's happening? It's been like 17 years since Revenge of the Sith. That last we actually heard any lines from Ewan McGregor. Yeah, we've seen Clone Wars, but that's a different actor. It's James Arnold Taylor. Not dissing him, but to see or hear Ewan McGregor both is just something special. And we've been seeing a lot of Tatooine. We've been seeing a lot of Tatooine. The Book of Boba Fett's one of the negatives I would say is that the show was just a little bit too much on that planet. But I'm happy to see that we automatically get a new planet. The Book of Boba Fett didn't even give us a new planet in their trailers, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's literally all there, but no, they do not skate away from the fact that it's like, that's one of the bigger questions. Is Obi-Wan going to be stuck on Tatooine? What's going to happen? Nope. They're getting out in front of it. Disney's saying, oh, if you thought this was going to be just on Tatooine, you are going to see another thing coming here. And just the threats, like Ben, I think this is one of the best trailers for any of the series.
Facts.
The series trailers are a little bit of a letdown for the most part for me because it doesn't really have a huge hook for a lot of these trailers. But this one lets you know what is going on. Like Ben said, hey, sets up the threat of the Inquisitors, sets up the stakes here. We see Obi-Wan is protecting Luke, and now there's Inquisitors are on Tatooine. Like, holy crap, nothing's come this close to finding out the offspring of Vader. They're on his home territory. And we're going to get into all this. We're going to do a breakdown of scene by scene or image of image that I've captured here in a few minutes. But I think it was just great to get our thoughts out because a lot of us have had that pent up excitement about this thing. And for it to seem like it overall kind of hit the mark for all of us is really relieving. And it's cool to see something like Milton said is a little bit more serious. This looks almost more like a film, right? We're dealing with one director between however many episodes we're going to have of this thing with Deborah Chow. So it's nice to see that consistency and that continuity shared between all the episodes, like something we've never had before. And I think we could already see those similarities in this trailer.
You're not wrong. I mean, like, I agree with everything Ben said regarding, the feel of it, the seriousness. Like, there's no way that they're going to screw this up. One of the first things I said to you guys in our chat, like, they can't. I think I said something else completely different in a sense, but more inappropriate. But pretty much like, look, they can't F this up. There's no way. Like, this show is too delicate. This character is too important. Like, I'm telling you right now, if I told my brother this the other day, if they mess this show up, I'm going to riot.
Oh, well, here's the thing with that, Milton, is the fact that if they mess this show up, it would damage the brand as a whole, in my opinion. Totally damage it. It would damage the brand. It would set us back way, like, people think, like, I hate trying to, like, dog on movies all the time, but man, people think The Last Jedi set Star Wars fandom back.
I was just about to say, yeah.
But if this show bombs, for example, which I don't, based on this one trailer, it's not going to bomb. But if this show hypothetically would bomb and stink and mess all these characters up, it would damage Star Wars' brand so bad, they would probably have to scrap a lot of their plans and totally reset their whole outlook on things, in my opinion. Like, it would totally damage the brand, or it would force them, they would like rush Mando season 3 and be like, okay, Grogu, like, to try to get everybody to calm down, because they cannot mess up. Like I was talking to one of my buddies about this. This show has by far the most pressure of any show or movie that's came out under the Disney umbrella, in my opinion, next to maybe The Force Awakens, because it was the first movie back. Because, like we always say, like with sports analogies, like, this is like the undefeated Patriots going into the Super Bowl 18-0. Like, you cannot lose this game.
Yeah.
Like this season has to be a mega hit, or it will damage the brand 100%, in my opinion.
This is their flagship title, guys. Seriously, like, this is what people are paying Disney Plus for, to get this show. So they gotta nail it. This used to be a concept for a movie, right? This used to be a movie. This is gonna be in theaters. They're using all those storylines, not all the storylines, but elements of different things from that to put on here. You got even Ewan McGregor himself putting his money down on the line because he's an executive producer. He's not gonna screw up his reputation by being involved with something that's subpar.
And he said he wouldn't come back to make something bad. Like, he wouldn't come back to Star Wars to make something bad. Like, I just don't believe it.
Well, remember a couple of years ago, there was obviously it was a movie, and then they had the first initial write up for the series, and then they had massive rewrites on the show. Well, different things have came out about the first initial run of this show, what it was going to be, and I'm glad they didn't do it, because we would have been in like DEFCON 10 or whatever, because apparently what I heard and was looking into, and people I've talked to, it sounds like the first initial pitch for this show that got totally scrapped was they were going to pull, 6 episodes, but it was going to be Force Awakens, where Kenobi wasn't going to get found until the very last episode of the series.
What?
And yeah, if you look into it, that's what was pitched, and they had to rewrite and just totally scrap the entire thing. They were going to have a totally new character, like a new Jedi character or whatever, searching for Kenobi, and then they were going to pull a Force Awakens and have him come in the final episode. And
that's just dumb.
Oh, man,
see, like that. See that you're in there. See, Ben, they're in their way.
Yep. That's
have
overthinking it.
Yeah, you have the crown jewel. Like, you have the answers to the test, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, use the answers
Milton,
you got the calculator. Use it.
Well, Milton, what do we always say on here? Star Wars fans are easy to please. You don't need to overthink it. And,
you don't need to.
See, something like that is overthinking it. So I'm glad they scrapped it, and now we're on to this show, which looks like it's going to be incredible.
Right. I did read something today. I guess they're talking about, like, the creators have. They said even though it's a limited series, they're leaving this potentially open for season 2.
You see that too?
And I read that, and I actually told my brother this. I said, listen, if this show is fire, I guarantee we're getting at least season 2 or 3.
Here's the thing. Now, of course, I want more Kenobi, but here's the thing. If this season is developed to be a one-shot deal, they deal with Vader, that whole situation's resolved. Not saying that this is impossible, but I feel like once you deal with Vader, if you're going to bring back Kenobi for a second season, what could be more enticing than that first season? It's only going to be a downgrade, because it's going to be just
potentially.
Like, you don't want to. You're ending on a super high note. You don't want to possibly come in with a second season and have it undershoot the first season.
Potentially, I hear you. I don't disagree. That's why I think. But here's the thing, though. They don't make those comments without even thinking about that. They're like, well, listen, Vader can think. Like I told my brother, you can make it to seem like Kenobi died at the end of this first season. If you want to trick Vader's character to think, because Vader thinks he's dead in New Hope until he realizes he felt something again in the Force, and because even Tarkin says, "Wait, he's alive? I thought he was dead." So like, if you let Vader think that he offed Obi-Wan, you can bring in a character from Legends or from Clone Wars that, like Hondo type, somebody that he interacted with back in Clone Wars that comes back to try to look for him. Like, you can try to do something like that. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you can make that work if you really think about the type of villain you can bring in for season 2. I know we're talking about the trailer today, but I'm just saying, I read that today. I'm thinking I'm not surprised, because they must really like what they've produced thus far.
Well, there's always the door as well that's been left open from Return of the Jedi, where, Vader tells Luke, Obi-Wan once thought as you did about trying to turn him back to the good side. Like, when did Obi-Wan do that? Like, if Obi-Wan doesn't do that in this series, like in this series, if he's just trying to protect like Luke or potentially Leia or whoever, like if he is doing that type of stuff in this series and not trying to turn Vader back, that could be a potential storyline for season 2. Like,
and here's
there's only 6 options.
Yeah, there's only 6 episodes, so they could say, well, and I mean, this is them trying to trick us, but let's say, they're saying these comments. Let's say, listen, as we were writing the show, we realized we can stretch this story out into 2 seasons, and say, okay, at the end of season 1, Obi-Wan decides to go off planet or whatever, and then season 2 is going to be him actually trying to deal with Vader, more in depth, and then all of a sudden he ends season 2 where Vader thinks he offed him for good, and that's how we end Kenobi's story leading into New Hope.
I don't think that's the case. Simply
I don't know. I'm just,
Oh, yeah, I know. We're spitballing here. But if they had any possible inkling of continuing, they wouldn't just promote it as limited series, right?
I agree.
So I don't know. And they put that in a trailer,
but
too.
But Chris,
what wasn't quickly? Wasn't Loki kind of promoted, like, wasn't it kind of promoted like it was going to be a limited series, and then they're like, oh, season 2, like,
yeah, I mean, it's not impossible to reverse it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, they can say, man, the cash cow, dude, like, everyone loves this.
Like, just to throw in here, like, this is total non-Kenobi side tangent. Interesting thing to look out for, guys. So the Bad Batch, by the way, in the Disney earnings call, they did not mention Bad Batch one time, by the way. So on their upcoming future projects. So I mean, I maybe it's just because they were, they were only focusing on live action being an upcoming project, but they didn't mention Bad Batch on that call. So just to throw that out there. They mentioned Andor, they mentioned Kenobi. They said our upcoming projects from a galaxy far, far away. Andor later this year, Kenobi May 25th. Here's the special look at the trailer, and then they moved on. They did not mention Bad Batch at all. What about Mando? No, they didn't mention Mando whatsoever.
So that's not good. They probably just getting Andor then.
Yep. So that's just something to throw out there for our listeners and viewers. In that earnings call for the live action realm, they only mentioned Andor and Kenobi, and they didn't mention Bad Batch, which again, it could be just because it was animation or something, but they didn't mention Mando season 3. So just to throw that out there to everybody.
Yeah, I just find it very interesting how I have the physical magazine that literally says it's coming in spring, and then the next issue just says coming soon or something.
Yep.
So it's like, what happened? Like, usually animation's like on time too. Usually animation is just like, it's a sure thing most of the time. It's not like, it's hard to make the animation because like you don't need the people on set. You can crank them out, I guess. But I think it could be a production scheduling thing. Like Disney is like, well, we want to have all the focus on Obi-Wan. Let's just have the fans wait 3 months, and then we'll get that out to them, and we'll put Bad Batch in the summer. I think Bad Batch will come out in the summer, hold us over till Andor in like August or September, fly right through to Mando season 3 if we even get that by December. We'll see, but that's a quick shot, I think, of what's happening.
Yeah, just to throw it in there real quick, but we can get back on track with Kenobi.
Yeah. So I think it's a good idea that we just kind of get into our breakdown. So we're gonna kind of go pretty much chronologically through some certain segments of the trailer, just picking out some key images here, as we always do on Outer Rim Transmission. We'll try to glean as much as we can from these things. So getting to our first shot here in the desert, we just spent so many hours in Book of Boba Fett. We're here on the desert again, and we're seeing the EOP. But I just like this opening sequence because it really does show us kind of what's going on with the tone of the show. Just like it's gonna be, very much it's called Obi-Wan Kenobi, so it's a character-focused show. We're probably gonna get a lot of these, dialogue-less scenes where we're just seeing Obi-Wan walking through the desert, which I know a lot of people have been waiting for. As boring as that might sound, a lot of us have been kind of waiting to see just Obi-Wan Kenobi in his element 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. What is his mindset like? We've been hearing some interviews of different people talking that are close to the production about, yeah, he's in a very damaged state. I mean, why wouldn't he be? And he's one of the people that was semi-responsible for what happened to the Jedi now and the galaxy as a whole.
I mean, he did train, Vader. I think that's pretty traumatic itself. I mean, as for the shot, I mean, it's a gorgeous shot. It's just desert. Realistically, I'm tired of Tatooine. I ain't gonna lie, but for this particular show, it makes sense. So that's why I'm like, I ain't gonna trip heavy. I mean, I hope he goes off planet at least once or twice, but I doubt he will often. I mean, he might do it once. But nah, it's just desert. We've seen at this point. I think I know Tatooine better than I know planet Earth. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one, Milton. It feels like, if we if you give us a blindfold, we can navigate Tatooine at this point. Yeah, for me though, with this shot, like I think, like you both said, it's just a really good shot. It brings back, obviously Revenge of the Sith vibes because he had that thing at the end of that movie. And, just setting the tone for the show, that, hey, Kenobi is out kind of just wandering the desert, at the moment, probably reflecting, as you both said, probably reflecting on everything that he's dealt with or that he basically caused and was responsible for. Because, if you think about it that way, like, think about it, you're the guy, you and Yoda, you guys are the two people that are responsible for basically wiping out your entire, let's say, religion. Basically, like that's huge on your psyche.
Heck yeah. Oh man. So getting into another shot here where we have more Obi-Wan in a familiar location. So I mean, I'm surmising this could be Maz Eisley, right? I mean, that's where his home is closest to. We see it in A New Hope, but you just kind of scroll around here. It's cool, you know. We're seeing Obi-Wan just out in broad daylight amongst the people. He's with the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think many people wouldn't know who he really is. Obviously, I mean, I'm sure he's been on there for 10 years. He knows how to keep a low profile, and you clearly see that how they shoot, or how they show the camera, how his monologue's going. He's just saying, hey, it's like, keep low, keep your head down, and that's smart. So it's nice to see that he's blending in, trying to be like a normal folk, but realistically, he can kick everybody's ass if he really wanted
Yeah,
to.
I think
Yeah,
the post. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, go ahead.
The
No, go ahead,
post
Chris.
Revenge of the Sith era for Jedi characters is so interesting. I could take up all the stories that they produce, because looking at the story of Jedi Fallen Order, you see Cal Kestis, he's on the planet Baraka, just trying to, trying to stay there for 5 years and just blend in to the point where he's like forgetting how to use the Force because he just doesn't use it anymore. If you're not using it, you kind of lose it to a certain degree. So I could see maybe the same thing happening with Obi-Wan, and it's just the trailer adds so much intrigue when you hear about the Inquisitors that we'll talk about in a little bit, talking about how, it's a lot to catch a Jedi. It takes a lot, especially I can imagine 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, they're still hunting the Jedi. Their order
Right.
still exists. I mean, we even see them further along the line because Rebels technically takes place even further in the timeline than Kenobi, which is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, it's just great to see on-set productions, right? Do we know if this was filmed using the volume with The Mandalorian, Ben, or is this really all on-set productions
Um,
here?
I know, some of it was some of it was the volume, some of it was on set. Like I know a few people who are like Star Wars, like scoopers, I guess you would say, and they had pictures of the actual like Lars homestead and stuff, like
Hmm.
actual being a set and everything. So, there were some like obviously like physical sets for this series, obviously mixed in with the volume, depending on whatever location they were at.
Yeah, because as good as the volume is, it is really nice to know that they still are going to on-set locations. They're still going to the
Yep.
desert. They're still getting like the actors are going through the elements with the acting, which it lends to even more of the realism. But of course, with somebody that's an Oscar winner like McGregor, that's not hard for him to imagine certain things either if it's imaginary. Getting
Right.
into the next shot here is pretty cool. I mean, this is what we've seen Obi-Wan doing, man, or what we thought of he was doing was just watching over Luke, just kind of holding himself at a distance and just watching from above, so to speak. And now there has been some canonical tales in the Star Wars mainline series flagship comics where we see Obi-Wan, he's kind of semi interacting with Luke, but he's even talking with Owen Lars, and I gotta crack open those issues of Star Wars comics because they are really good, by the way. Those tales of Obi-Wan just dealing with different things on Tatooine, dealing with the Jabba water tax, fighting against Black Chrysanthemum. So hey, maybe they'll do a flashback of him fighting Black Chrysanthemum at some point. They already got the actor in the costume, which looks amazing. So there you go. But I know this is more of a kind of a vague kind of shot here. But again, I like a lot of these shots that we've had in this trailer because it kind of shows us the type of show we're having. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of action, of course, as we see in this trailer itself, but there's going to be a lot of those quiet moments where it's just you and Kenobi and just him dealing with his everyday activities, on Tatooine.
Oh yeah, like with him dealing with Luke, like just looking over Luke, it's such a to me it's such a tone setting shot. We mentioned it in our open, it's such a tone setting shot because sure, it's like cool, Luke's in the series, like we'd assume that, but then we are listening to the voiceover of going into the Inquisitor talking and everything and all this stuff, and then it's like, uh-oh, like the Inquisitors could be like potentially coming for Luke or something. If they're out searching for Force sensitives, that sets a tone for the series. Like Luke could be in danger. Like obviously we know he makes it, but he's in danger now, and that like really sets the stakes so much higher for the show than what they are. Like just that one innocent shot of Luke, like it just sets it. To me, it really sets the tone of the series.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you're saying, Ben. I mean, I think this shot itself. I mean, again, you're right, Chris. We're getting a lot of these intimate, quiet shots with Obi-Wan. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of I Am Legend with Will Smith. It came out what? They're
Ooh,
late
great movie.
yeah, like 2007, 2008.
Sequel
Like
coming
it's
out too, by the way. Sorry,
yeah,
go
I
back.
did see that. Yeah, there is. Yeah.
We'll get into
But no,
that
like,
later.
but I think this reminds me of that because I mean I don't know what's next to Kenobi. Is that like another like is that a like another or like an animal or something to sit next to him? Maybe
I
that's
think
like
it's just a
his.
far away shot of him looking at Luke or some other
Yeah, I
human.
mean but
Yeah.
how they show it looks like he's like sitting there talking to someone or that's like his
Oh yeah.
companion. Like his Wilson from that movie with Tom Hanks. But yeah, it's like what I
Castaway.
want to. Yeah, I want to see these intimate shots where he's really thinking about what happened. He's reflecting. He's gonna have to talk about how he let down the Republic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So next shot here, we get another kind of extension of this shot. I would expect this is coming right after this. We got him looking through those macro binoculars, right? And the macro binoculars are pretty neat because I don't have an image of this that I pulled, but the macro binoculars people are calling from the Clone Wars. Like that's a Clone Wars
Yep.
prop that they have for the first time, I believe, in live action. So it's really neat. Like, hey, Dave Filoni isn't on this production. Jon Favreau isn't on this production. But at least the people at Lucasfilm are like, hey, let's add that element in from the Clone Wars. So, but actually, the shot itself shows us our first look at Owen. It shows us our first look at Baru. Shows us a little tiny Luke, but it just shows that legendary classic shot of the Lars homestead. So it just damn, it's like a different angle, of course, that we haven't seen it from before, but it's pretty neat. Like holy crap! Like 10 years later, as A New Hope.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It really, like you said, it's just like, it's really putting to reality. Like a lot of these shots, obviously it gets us, more insightful on the show, but it just, to me, it sets the hype level for the fans so much higher because it's like, this is actually happening. Like we're getting Obi-Wan, we're getting Owen and Baru and young Luke and all this stuff. Like it just, to me, these are the type of shots that really build the inherent hype because, we're building that baked in nostalgia from Revenge of the Sith, from the other movies, and like, just adds to it.
Heck yeah.
yeah, I agree. I mean, again, there's really nothing I can really say about this. It's just nice to see that this is very familiar and we're going to be a part of this family again.
And here's a shot I didn't expect: is Luke Skywalker pretending he's flying some kind of spacecraft. But I know a lot of people online were like, "Oh my gosh, what happens if those are Anakin Skywalker's goggles that, for whatever reason, were left behind? Somehow somebody picked them up and brought them to Lars. I don't know how that would happen exactly, but it's still kind of cool to see. Like, yeah, he's acting like we've seen 10-year-old Anakin. He would be at the same age. Like Luke here is the same age we see Anakin in the Phantom Menace. So he's got that,
Right.
this is him acting like his father, basically. I think it's pretty cool parallel.
Yeah, it's nice to see that. And again, I honestly though, I don't think we need to see a lot of Luke in this show. Like I think we need to get glimpses like this just because I think it's better for us to see Luke as an adult. Obviously if they integrate this little boy where it's appropriate, I that's fine, but I don't need to make him a mainstay. He doesn't need to be a main character. Like I don't know, people may disagree with me on that, but I think I want to see Luke from a distance a lot. I think that's the best way to protect the character.
Well, I think that's exactly what we're going to be getting, Milton, because um, I think they're showing us Luke because we're not going to see much of him.
Hmm.
Like I think that's what it is. Like, they're showing, to me, a lot of it's almost like meta, like, hey, Obi-Wan's looking at Luke from a distance, like, so will you guys too. Like, I don't think we're gonna see much of him. I think it may be like early on in the series, like obviously the first episode, probably just for some initial stuff. And then probably, in the fifth or sixth episode, obviously the sixth episode probably to
Hmm.
round out the series, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna get much of him whatsoever. That's why they're showing him.
Yeah,
Right.
I think he's gonna, Obi-Wan can't be interacting too much with him. He's not like his uncle Kenobi, right? He's just that weird guy over there in the dunes or whatever. But it does show us what the show is setting up, right? Again, Luke in the forefront of this story. We're seeing in the next couple shots some Inquisitors going around Tatooine. There's a guy that they're looking for. Man, oh man, it's got to be pins and needles with Obi-Wan, because if he makes the wrong move, they're gonna find out that there's another Force-sensitive kid on the planet, and we all know what happens to Force-sensitive kids, let alone the son of Darth Vader, when they figure that one out. So it sets up the stakes, and it shows us, hey, they're not beating around the bush here. Like, Obi-Wan has got some heat on him, and he's got to do something about it.
Oh,
So like just to piggyback off that, like so I know I think we might all be thinking, well, making prediction of like, oh, the Inquisitors are coming because something Obi-Wan did. Honestly, hot take, I think that they're gonna use Luke Skywalker as the MacGuffin of why the Inquisitors come. And I say it this way: they can do the same thing they did with Cal Kestis in Jedi Fallen Order, with like where he used the Force to save someone. What if Luke accidentally like used the Force and he didn't realize it?
Oh man,
and maybe like someone notices it, like a rebel spy or an Imperial spy. They're like, hey, we saw these like little kid potentially like use the Force, quote unquote. Like, y'all need to get here. Like, it was pretty crazy. Like, he caused a scene where it was bad.
Yeah,
And maybe that's why the Inquisitors show up, and that's probably where Obi-Wan has to step in.
that's a really good observation, Milton. Because if you think about it, like Obi-Wan's been on here for 10 years. You think he would know the drill? You think he would know how to hide his Force powers for a decade at this point? But a kid has no control. When the Force springs into your body, you just act. The next thing you know, somebody goes flying through the streets of Mos Eisley, and there's cameras, and you could be like, hey, this kid totally force pushed somebody. We got to get the Imperials, because that's our job and our duty as citizens. And the people of this point are so brainwashed with the occupation of the Empire and the galaxy that to them it's not a big deal. They think of the Jedi as evil wizards. So like anybody's going to be like, oh man, we got to get these guys. These are guys that scarred Palpatine. Like, these are the bad guys, and they're coming back. We got to take these people out. So you could switch the persona of all the people that way, and that could be really good idea, right?
That's what I'm saying. I can see if I'm writing the show, I can say let's use Luke to be the reason why they show up. Like, they don't know it's him, obviously, but like, this kid caused something, and someone saw something, and that's why they had to reach out to the Empire. Which then forces Kenobi to be more watchful, to say, hey, I really have to like keep them from this kid.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think it'll be something potentially along those lines. I love the Luke idea. That's actually would be a really interesting one.
Lucasfilm, hire your boy. Hire me, Lucasfilm.
Really.
Yeah, just because of him accidentally doing it and that sort of stuff, like accidentally showing his talents type deal. That I think would be a really good one. But see, I was thinking more along the lines like, I got thinking about like Fallen Order, and then just like some of the other like canon material, and like even Rebels, like thinking about Rebels, like Kanan and Ezra, for example.
Right.
So I was thinking more along the lines of like, what if we have a Jedi, I don't know, not Kanan, but some John Smith Jedi or whatever, like an Order 66 survivor, basically. What if we have an Order 66 survivor on Tatooine for some reason or another, and the Inquisitors are there, and Obi-Wan's in town while they're like hunting for a rogue Jedi, and they don't realize Kenobi's there, and that's why Kenobi's like on pins and needles, that sort of thing. Just because I feel like this series, if we don't have like direct Order 66, like an Order 66 surviving Jedi in this series, whether it be one or two or plural or whatever, I do feel like we'll be getting references to like other Jedi, other Jedi surviving or getting killed, like, oh, the Jedi were wiped out on this planet or that planet. Like, so like it makes me think maybe, like I said, it could either be the Luke idea or it could be like an Order 66 survivor. But there's going to be something obviously that triggers the Inquisitors to look there specifically, whether it be Luke or a Jedi or something. Because I don't think it'll be Kenobi whatsoever. Just because if they know Kenobi's on that planet, the whole Empire is going to Tatooine. So, like, I think it'll be something that's not Kenobi directly, not him directly, and it'll be something along those lines that'll potentially spring the Inquisitors into action, which will then, obviously get Kenobi into action. Like, my kind of, thoughts on like that even is like maybe if Obi-Wan gets sprung into action by like Luke or by an Order 66 survivor, maybe he basically does the whole like, hey guys, look, I'm over here type thing and runs off planet. So then that's what gets the Inquisitors away. You know what I mean? Like a cat and mouse type deal.
Yeah,
we see him off planet in the trailer. So
yeah, and I think what could happen here is we see A New Hope. There wasn't really a lot of Imperial activity on the planet of Tatooine until really like the escape pod went down from the Tantive 4, and that's because public enemy number one, Leia, part of the rebels, was last seen around there, and her droids are over there. So and I don't think in any of these shots, and mind you, we haven't seen the show, but from the shots, I don't think there's like any stormtroopers on Tatooine at this point from any of the shots. So it's just like, yeah, the Inquisitors got a tip on somebody. But yeah, like you're right. If Kenobi was there and they knew it was him, there'd be like 3 or 4 Star Destroyers over there, because he's like public enemy number one. Him and Yoda, they were seen at the Coruscant Temple. Those were some of the bigger people. Anakin once and dead and everything else. So like, yeah, I could totally see where he needs to get off planet for that. But looking at the next shot here, who's going to be hunting him down? Well, we get our first look at the ship of one of the Inquisitors. It could be the Grand Inquisitor ship, we're not certain. But what's even more interesting is the location of Fortress Inquisitorius, which is first introduced in Jedi Fallen Order. In that game, basically, spoiler alert for like a 3-year-old game, at the end of the game, you go there as Cal Kestis, and you're trying to rescue somebody. And next thing you know, Vader comes in and just like completely like wrecks the whole place, and just like to the point where like underneath the water, he like this place is. It's like Vader uses the Force to try to kill you as you're running away from him, and he's like crushing all the superstructures underneath. It's not. We don't know if the place completely got destroyed, but a good amount of it got damaged. Now, mind you, that storyline takes place in a timeline about 5 years before where we see this, so obviously by then they fixed the place quite a bit. But it is still pretty cool, because if you look at the location of Fortress Inquisitorius, I believe it's on the planet called like Nur or something, which is like the small bluish planet like right next to Mustafar, like in the same system. So that Fortress Vader is very, very close to Fortress Inquisitorius. So Vader's like a short call away. Be like, oh, let me get over there real quick. And I mean, this is cool because I'm looking at the shot of the ship approaching, and I can pick out a Lambda class shuttle and maybe some other ships that I can't really make out right now. But I just love seeing Lambda class shuttles, so I wanted to point that out. But hey, we're getting some new planets, and it's not just the city planet we'll be talking about later. So I'm pretty excited about a video game big thing showing up in a live action series.
I thought that was direct to Krennic ship. It looked like it to me.
Little bit. It almost is. You're right. I think it's just missing like the top, like large wing on the dorsal end or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was like an Imperial ship, or like you pointed out, Chris. It probably is going to end up being the Inquisitor ship or something related to him, maybe. And then, like you said, the Lambda class shuttles. It's always great with them, just because they're like iconic. I feel like as well. Just for normal, even casual Star Wars fans, probably recognize them by now. So, yeah, I don't know, it's just a cool ship, and it'll be interesting to see how much of it we get, just because, with these shows, we don't get much flying or, ship action, I feel like. So it'll be interesting to see how much they use it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be Star Wars without having some kind of new ship designs. So it's definitely a welcome sight to see that for sure. But hey, man, there's a lot more Inquisitor stuff in this Trailer. Next up, we have a little bit of a talking point here, as apparently the internet has already. Grand Inquisitor. So just getting my excitement. It was awesome to see. Like we get the acknowledgement. We've heard the rumors. Grand Inquisitor's in here, not played by Jason Isaacs. This is Rupert Friend, but I think he was in Hitman. Was he?
Yeah.
He
Yep.
definitely looks like he's the guy that plays Hitman, right? Especially with the character design here. But I mean, it's just cool because like we get again canon connections. Like this guy first appeared in Star Wars Rebels. He's appeared in a lot of the comics with the Star Wars Darth Vader run by Charles Soule, where Vader puts together the Inquisitors for the first time. So it's neat seeing the Inquisitors live action. I will say that because we've been always hearing about what happens to the Jedi after Revenge of the Sith. Maybe we'll actually see an Inquisitor kill a Jedi in this, like a lesser known Jedi. I would like to see that happen because they have to make themselves look threatening. In what way can you look threatening than a Force user of the dark side killing a Jedi? Maybe this guy right here is a Jedi, or the guy later in the trailer when we see the blade going. But I would like to see that. I think that would really be cool. Like, yeah, but right away these guys mean business.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, look, I'll be real and say it. To me, it looks like trash. Like he doesn't look good. Like, I mean, and I know it's a still, and I know like people are gonna be like, Milton, like don't get your head away from the animation. But I'm sorry, like I saw him first in the animation. It's not like, because I keep seeing people, well, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin look different in the cartoon. I'm like, I understand that. It's from going from live action to a cartoon. We're going from cartoon to live action. So you're telling me you couldn't use some type of CGI or different prosthetics to make his head a little more like slimmer? He looked like dude from Hellraiser. What's his name? Pinhead or something? Yeah, like bro, like he looks like trash. Like I'm just being real. Like I mean, I hope. Okay, this actor's really good, but I saw someone literally. This is how crazy it is. And again, Ben, like you're not. Like, how do you not get this right? How? Like I've seen people on the internet use like clip art and just fix his eyes and slim up his face, and I'm like, oh, that's the Inquisitor. Like. You got nobodies like the three of us who can probably do a better Photoshop and make him look decent. Like he looks like ass. I'm just being real.
Here's the thing, right? We have the precedent of this certain species appearing in Revenge of the Sith, and I totally understand what everybody's talking about. Like, yeah, that's something that George Lucas made, and like you can even see in the guy's performance in Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, it's a very stiff costume. So what? Like we have CGI technology now, where we could add stuff after the fact.
Yes.
And have the prosthetics of, maybe the yellow eyes and maybe have some more texture to his skin and maybe have, more of a cylinder shaped head to that certain degree or elongated forehead, whatever you want to call it. So they could have done that. For me, it's just like, and I get the argument. It's just like, hey, a lot of people have never seen the character before, but I feel like the species, it's just overall the concept of the character in live action. This character, if I'm looking at this character, it just looks like a human. Like there's nothing that looks like he's even an alien. It's just like, oh, I just have my face like a little white with some red marker on my forehead. It just doesn't seem like that great to me, even if it was a character that I didn't have to be threatened by or something. I don't know. Right. Ben, I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Honestly, I hope they do. Like there's precedent to get this right, because look at the first Sonic trailer like a couple years ago when everybody complained about how ass he looked in that trailer, and then they fixed him for the movie and he looks great. And I actually look forward to that movie, the second one for sure. But like this is the best you can do with the character that everyone likes. Like you make him look like garbage. And look, there's another Inquisitor we're going to see. He looks just as bad. But go ahead.
Well, I have to say, I respectfully, completely disagree with both of you. So my thing with the Inquisitor is, for starters, the Grand Inquisitor. We'll just stick on this one for now. Okay, so his costume was obviously good enough because everybody recognized him as the Grand Inquisitor. So it's a baseline. We got a baseline set. Like his costume is good enough. He is the Grand Inquisitor. So we have that set. And then in terms of like translating from animation to live action or even live action animation, we do have precedents for that under the Disney umbrella because we went from Vader in episodes 1 through 6, or well, whatever, in the original movies, to Vader in Rebels, and his helmet looks completely different in Rebels. Completely different. The eyes are like slanted and everything. And then you go to Vader in Rogue One, and he doesn't look anything like the Rebels version. So like, there's precedence right there for that. I mean, heck, we have precedence for it just in Mando season 2. Like, we were all fine with Ahsoka getting her head tails chopped.
True.
And looking completely different. So like, my thing with that is like, they they made the character good enough where we recognize him as the Grand Inquisitor. There's obviously the real world things of like, hey, this could be part of the actor's contract. Like, that's why there was a lot of talk about potentially stuff going on with Pedro for maybe Mando season 3. Like, he wanted his face shown more, and et cetera, et cetera. That's why potentially Mando season 3 is taking longer. Like, things like that, because actors are getting paid and they want their face to be out there. I mean, look, we all are excited for the Halo series, and they already came out and just flat out told us, hey, Master Chief's taking his helmet off, and it pretty much sounds like, hey, the actor wants his face shown on screen. That's why. So, those are real world things. And then like the other like realistic reason I had mentioned before is, if you think about it, like, this is a totally, for probably 80%, 90% of the viewing audience, if you just show Joe Schmo the trailer, they'll look at it and go, whoa, that's a cool new villain. Like, because they're going to introduce, as we mentioned before with all these shows, like with Ahsoka, for example, they introduced her as a new character for the live action viewing audience. Like, they gave her backstory. They gave her enough backstory on screen so people have an understanding. Oh, that's a Jedi. She was in the past, Order 66, blah, 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 blah. Like, they introduced her in a unique way. And I think that's what they're going to do with the Inquisitors. I mean, they've already pretty much done that in this trailer. Like, hey, they're hunting Jedi. They're Jedi hunters. And, that's all you need to know. So, like, being introduced to the grand audience, like probably 80-90% of people, this will be a totally new character for them. So it just doesn't matter, for that matter, in my opinion, because it's a totally new villain. And if it works, and like, just overall with this character, as long as he is a threat for Luke and Obi-Wan, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like the look, to me, the look of the character doesn't matter, because like, we were fine with Ahsoka looking definitely different. And then now we have this character he's looking different for sure, but he's good enough where we recognize him as the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So the comparison between Darth Vader's version in Rebels compared to Rogue One is completely non entity, or whatever you want to. It's not correct in comparing it to that situation, because, all right, so Rebels had an art style that was very, very augmented and accented and whatever you want to call it, stylized,
Yep.
right? That's the word I'm looking for. And the reason why is because they use a lot of the artwork from Ralph McQuarrie. Ralph McQuarrie is the original concept artist for Star Wars, and you can see basically a lot of his paintings come to life, certain characters in the actual series. And of course, they wanted to have his Darth Vader version, so they threw it in there. So I feel like, I mean, that entire series is basically an homage to the original Star Wars. So I feel like it's a little unfair to kind of base it off of that.
Okay, well, throw that aside then. Like, to me, even look at Count Dooku, for example. Count Dooku looks way different. Or Mace Windu, for example. They look way different than their actual characters. So, like, to me, we're getting to a point, like, are we as fans, like it's where do we draw the line between, are we wanting animation or wanting live action? Because at the end of the day, translating perfectly to live action will never work for the most part. It'll work, it can work like a good like Ahsoka, for example. I would say Ahsoka was translated probably 90%. She was translated pretty good.
Way better
80,
than
90%. 80, 90%. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like translating to live action, and here's a practical way then. So you even acknowledged it, like the stiffness of Tion Medon in Revenge of the Sith, like that character. We know Inquisitors as being so fluid and so acrobatic and stuff. How would an actor potentially be so fluid and acrobatic if they're in a stiff costume like that? Because the Inquisitors aren't going to be just standing around doing nothing in this series. Like we already see that from this trailer alone. They're out, interrogating the citizens of Tatooine potentially. So like, I just think there's a lot of practical reasons, and there's a lot of already established precedences as to why I think it's fine. And like at the end of the day, I just think not to, I'm one of the biggest critiques of like Lucasfilm, like not to sound like a mega Lucasfilm defender, but like at the end of the day, like Star Wars fandom, like I feel like we're getting to a point where we're getting so much content, we're getting almost like spoiled with content where we're like any little thing we're critiquing, like this whole thing, like there's so many discussions where it's like, we have this awesome trailer, like this Kenobi trailer, and then like the reactions are like they instantly start talking about this Inquisitor. It's like, wait, so we have this mega hype trailer, and all we're focused on is costume design. That's all we're worried about for this, when this trailer is like arguably the most epic thing Disney's put out so far under the Star Wars umbrella, and we're getting this, and then everyone's hyper focused on the Inquisitor, when it's like, I guarantee you, like I said, the people that are worried about the Inquisitor are in the small minority of the viewing audience, because the vast majority of people, all they'll know is he's a villain. That's it.
But here's the issue, right? Is because a lot of the representation of the characters have already been brought into live action has been freaking amazing. Like Cad Bane was so good. Ahsoka, really great as well. Okay, they shortened the Montrails or the whatever, the Leku, whatever you want to call them. That's fine. Like that wasn't like characteristically, she still looked like Ahsoka, which is why I never really voiced my concerns about it. But if you have characters like Bo-Katan, all these other well-known characters look so good, and then you get something like this that's just such a dud. I mean, it literally looks like a guy just with like makeup. There's no prosthetic, or even they don't even try to make it look like an alien. It looks like a human.
But here's the thing with that point there you just made. So you talk about like them like translating the characters so well. The Grand Inquisitor had to have been translated good enough because we all recognize him as the Grand Inquisitor. Like they didn't say that in the, like if you watch the trailer straight up, like no outside knowledge whatsoever, or other than who the Grand Inquisitor is or what they look like, you will look at that character and go, that's the Grand Inquisitor. So like they obviously translated him good enough where we know who he is without them even saying, hey guys, that's the Grand Inquisitor in the trailer. Like we know who that character is. So like that's my thing about it, is I think we're overthinking it because we know who the character is. Like he's recognizable enough. So, it's not like they went and painted Darth Vader orange or something for this series.
But, yeah, I mean, this is the last thing I'll say about this is just, we expect, I think we expect more from Lucasfilm quality wise. I think a lot of us are just a little bit let
looks
down.
like cosplay.
Yeah. The quality,
it's cosplay. Like that looks
is...
like cosplay to me. Like look, I can go to, okay, let's say if I go to that Philadelphia con, in a month, and some guy walked up on me with this outfit, and I'd be like, all right, yeah, you're granted, I can clearly see what you're trying to do. Like that's not hard to recognize that. But I'm like, bro, you ain't no Grand Inquisitor for real though. Like I just think, to me, you could have, all I had to do was just, honestly, I would have not complained. They would have made his head look a little bit better. Like just thin it down, or like, because he needs to look more like, he looks too human to me. Mm-hmm. Like that's very much organically, like that's us three. Like I'm sorry, like, I don't want to know he's a human.
Well, he like just Yeah. Oh, yeah. I totally get what
He's
you're saying, Milton.
he's got a human nose. If I mean, I don't know, Chris. You can pull up the Grand
Mo-
Inquisitor picture from animation. There's no hell. Even if they did a Harry Potter series, there's or live or animation, there is no way they'd make Voldemort look like a human being because Voldemort's got a snake look nose and a bald head. They would make sure he looks like his character.
Well, here's part of it too, though. I think just to like not to like drag this point on for the next hour. Like I think as well, he's not going to be part of like the main part of the series because like based on the Entertainment Weekly article, Reva, the female Inquisitor, it sounds like she's going to be the main focus anyway. So I really think the Grand Inquisitor is most likely going to be the mission teller type deal. Like he may be in it for like 1 or 2 episodes, but I think Reva is most likely going to be the one out in the field doing the like majority of the work.
Yeah.
Right.
So nobody, we didn't convince either side on this matter. We both have our minds set on whether or not we like this change or we don't like this change. But hey, Lucas,
I love
we have
it.
2
It's
more
great.
months.
It's great.
We'll see what happens. So our next shot here looks like Kenobi's just trying to blend in with the people. You see all different kind of characters. You literally see somebody that looks like they're from Labyrinth or Dark Crystal. Like somebody, there's a puppet here off to the left of Kenobi. It looks like there's somebody that walked off the set of Dark Crystal.
Yeah,
Jim Henson design is mixed in there. Oh my gosh.
I think a lot of this stuff with Kenobi, I really have a feeling, you were kind of talking about it earlier when you were saying him blending in. I think he's going to be kind of, I don't know about you guys, I think there's a decent chance he's going to be like working a day job, like an odd job type deal, like maybe like at a Watto's type, like, you know what I mean? Like working an odd job, really trying to blend in as a citizen, I think there's a chance for that.
I mean, how else is he gonna pay the bills, right? It's not like he went to the bank real quick and took out a whole bunch of. Well, he would have only had Republic credits, I guess. I don't even know how that even works because it's like, how does the Republic credits? Well, actually, wait, didn't we see that in Bad Batch? So like, oh, you now have Imperial credits or something like that. Like all your Republic credits just like turn to Imperial credits. But anyway, like I feel like all his funds would have been cut because Jedi are supposed to be dead, so any like money that he had in his account was probably drained. So it's not like he could have taken a bunch of money and survived for years and years and years. I don't know what the salary of a Jedi is, but we know he has his own little home on Tatooine, and you gotta run that thing with the electricity, the water bill, all that stuff. So I like how it brings a realism to Star Wars. We haven't really seen many characters have like day jobs, but this could be something different.
I can't lie, just for like a little bit of almost comedic relief, it would be interesting just to see, like, obviously it would only be maybe like a scene, but it'd be interesting to see, like, we have this big legendary character Obi-Wan, like I'd love to see him like in a workshop kind of getting bossed around like by a Watto character for a scene or something, just to like really like set it like, whoa, this guy's down on his luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I just like the appearance of just like he's just like it's a Monday. It's just the look on Ewan's face, just like here we go again. All right, here we go. We got a nice little briefing room aboard the Inquisitorius, Fortress Inquisitorius. Here we see the outer image. Now, like I said, a lot of this base is underwater. So it's really cool seeing that background there. We see the fifth brother. He's got the same lightsaber design we see him in Rebels. We see the interior design is very brutalist. It looks a lot like if Vader constructed it, like very Sith-oriented with like the pointy chairs and all that kind of thing. And we also see a different kind of Inquisitor that I'm not familiar with. I haven't seen this person in any comic or video game. There's a person there on the left, and we'll see her again closer or further in this trailer. But as Ben mentioned, we have our new front and foremost Inquisitor, Reva. Right? Is that her name, Reva?
Yep, Reva.
Yeah. So, and we do see a stormtrooper guarding, so it's cool. Like there's some Imperial security. But yeah, what did you guys think of just the this scene kind of like was like, whoa, like I kind of let my jaw, hit the floor because like, oh my gosh, like we see all these Inquisitors and this is like something out of like a video game. Like this for me was pretty cool.
It looks good. I mean, it's a well designed scene. I mean, I think I'll be very interested to see what they talk about when the scene occurs. Because I do want to see how the Inquisitors think and how they operate. So no, I like how the scene looks, and I'm curious to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like it was almost that, that whoa moment, like, whoa, we're getting like all these Inquisitors in this show. Like, you know, like it makes you think like, holy smokes, we're getting these Inquisitors, plus we know Vader's in this. Like, how is Obi-Wan gonna deal with all this? Like that was kind of what I was thinking, like as during that scene. I was like, man, Obi-Wan has a lot on his plate for this series.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of action, a lot more action than I expected if we have all these Inquisitors front and center. Yep. Okay, so moving along here, we see a face-off in the streets of Maz Eisley between a very unlikely duo here. We have Reva versus Owen Lars, and this is really cool because we see Owen Lars. What is his name again? The actor.
Oh man,
Joel Edgerton.
There you go.
Yep.
This guy is bringing his A game because Owen Lars doesn't mess around. He's standing up to an Inquisitor. Like, come on, like this guy's got balls, man. Like this guy really, and you get that attitude from him in A New Hope. Like he's a no nonsense guy. Like yeah, he's just very steadfast in his beliefs of Luke and everything else. So to see him like back in these times standing up to an Inquisitor, does he even know he's an Inquisitor? Like what the hell?
See, I kind of thinking though, maybe what it'll be like one of those scenes like. I think they could be camera tricking us, like being smart with the shots. Because I think this might be a scene, like say Reva's like, I don't know, in the crowd of people, like basically going like, where's the Jedi? Where's the Force user? Blah, blah, blah. And I think it'll be one of those things maybe where she's like walking around to each person. And, of course they show us the shot of her looking face to face with Uncle Owen, type deal, like that type of I really think this could maybe be just a camera trick, but like you said, Chris, like there's a chance, Uncle Owen maybe like mouths off to her or something, or says something like, we don't need you here, blah, blah, or just says something to her just to mouth off. And then who knows, maybe Kenobi's like hanging around and sees all that happen, or maybe, I don't know. I feel like there's so many directions this could go with Uncle Owen interacting with the Inquisitor, just because, you could have it go those routes, or who knows, maybe this is a whole thing of like maybe Kenobi's not there in town whatsoever, and maybe Uncle Owen goes back and reports to Kenobi and is like, hey dude, we have this Sith lady here in town. You need to get out of here or go deal with it. Like, we need Luke protected, like type thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in this scene. We do see another version of this scene later on, so we could talk a little bit more about when that comes up there. But yeah, I mean, a lot could be said about that one. Now we also have Reva, and again, like this is the main antagonist. I feel like, well, not the main because we all know who that is, Darth Vader. But we got our first shot of like this really cool kind of ambiance setting of this like industrial cyberpunk kind of place called Daiyu, which is a brand new planet in Star Wars. And this is what's really neat, is seeing the Inquisitors tracking a Jedi. So whether or not she's hunting down Obi-Wan, we think that, Obi-Wan, we speculate that Obi-Wan's gonna lure them off of that planet and just end up here somehow. But it is neat seeing like them like playing detective, seeing Reva playing detective, just like kind of finding out. And we do see there's other characters, all the Inquisitors actually look like they're in this location. So a lot could be said. But what do you think about our first glimpse of this planet so far, and just the cool kind of detective work of these characters, Millen?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I think the Inquisitors are. I'll put it in our terms. They're probably an evil version of the FBI. Like they have all these resources. They're super good at their job when it comes to following leads and taking names and kicking ass later, But like, I like this look. I'm curious to see what this planet's more about. I think that, it's nice that we're getting off of Tatooine. Whether it's Obi-Wan leading them, like you said, or maybe this is the beginning of episode 1, where they're setting us up to show how the Inquisitors work as a team. Because it wouldn't shock me if they worked as a team to like hunt down a Jedi. I mean, we've seen it in the animation where Ahsoka. Yeah, so I mean, it's like maybe they're just coordinating their attack. Or it's cool to see this, and I think that's
imagine? Can you imagine if Obi-Wan fights the fifth brother, Reva, Grand Inquisitor, and the other unnamed Inquisitor all at the same time? Like that could be insanity.
Man, Obi-Wan will wreck him. Yeah, come on. He sliced up Anakin and Darth Maul.
Because we've seen what Darth Maul did to the Inquisitors he came up across in that episode. He killed 2 or 3 of them by himself.
Yeah.
Like,
and like
we know that Obi-Wan can kill Darth Maul. So
yeah, Obi-Wan cut off Savage's arm. So yeah, we're good, man.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you both said. Like, I just think it's a really good like establishing shot for the Inquisitors, and I feel like there is a good chance. I agree with you, Milton. Like that could be at the beginning of the show, kind of setting, like maybe we're on Tatooine to start, and then it somehow cuts to the Inquisitors, like these are the bad guys type thing. Cut, and then maybe they're talking about Jedi surviving, or like, oh, we have public enemy number 1 Kenobis out there sneaking around the galaxy, or just something. Like that's going to set the tone to maybe send the Inquisitors in motion.
Mm.
So here we have a character that might be familiar to some of the Game of Thrones fans out there. This is an Imperial officer played by Indira Varma. Is that correct? I feel like that's her name.
Yeah.
She's a hottie.
Yeah, man. So
yeah.
I was expecting her to actually play a character like an Imperial agent, just by the way she carries herself in Game of Thrones. I feel like she would make a good character for this, but it looks like she's on Tatooine, so it's not just the Inquisitors. Maybe she's gonna be reporting reporting to Darth Vader or something like that. But not much to glean off this other than, hey, it's a new character in Star Wars and it's a female officer, which we don't see much of in the live action, at least.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's basically what I got from it as well. Hey, new Imperial officer.
Maybe that's your girl's mom. Maybe that's Iden Versio's mother.
Hey, there we go.
From what's her name? What's that second
Battlefront.
game? Battlefront 2.
Oh,
yep.
You know what? I mean, no, wait. Her mother was actually
I don't know.
a propaganda artist. I know. I'm trying to think of it. It might actually work, but I would have to look further into it.
Yeah.
Next image here, we have another one on Dio. This one's badass. I love this. Just like the shot of like Obi-Wan undercover with his hood, like the classic Obi-Wan, but he's like totally out of his element. He's trying to stay undercover, but we have that Inquisitor with the tendril head. She's kind of walking around in this shot, but again, I like the density here of this shot in the crowd. Just all the people. It reminds me of like the underbelly of Coruscant.
Yeah, I mean, look, anything with Ewan McGregor, I'm hyped. Like, that's Kenobi, bro. It's Kenobi. Like, I'm sorry, I can say it 1,000 times. It's Kenobi. Like, I just cannot believe we're getting this. And, like, you just know that's him. It'd be different if they, like, hey, let's replace Ewan McGregor. Let's say it's a different actor doing the same shot. I'm not convinced that guy's Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is Obi-Wan. He's doing some good stuff right now, but like creeping out the scene, looking at everything, trying to engage like the enemy. Like it's Obi-Wan, bro.
Oh yeah,
it's Obi-Wan.
I mean, I completely agree. Like with Ewan, like you said, Milton, Ewan's Obi-Wan. Like to me, I'm one of those people. I'm fine with recasting characters, but Obi-Wan's a character. Like if it's not Ewan McGregor, the only other person could be Alec Guinness, and we know that's not possible. Like those are the only 2 characters I want to see playing Obi-Wan at this point, just because, like that's Ewan McGregor. Like to me, like these type of shots, it just feels like it's something out of the prequels. Like it just, it's great.
Heck yeah! Oh man, so good. Yeah, prequel content all day long, all day long. All right. Next one is a curious looking droid. I would also assume by the lighting that this could be the same planet Daiyu. I think we're basically either going to be on Daiyu, Fortress Inquisitorius, or this planet. Maybe more. Probably more, because we do see like that awesome behind the scenes kind of clippings of different like concept art, and one of them was like a rebel planet or something it looked like. So could be more than just these two. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But hey, new droid design, so I thought that'd be cool to throw in here. Stormtrooper looks to be giving him some trouble. But it looks like a droid from Fallen Order, like the way it's designed, kind of. So I thought it was kind of neat. I don't know what the Arabish says on his armor. Probably should look it up. I don't know if that says anything relevant, but cool design.
Yeah, I mean it's a droid. I'm not surprised we have him in obviously around, but I mean it's nice to see that there's a lot of familiarity with this. I mean, and I'm glad to see the stormtroopers got rundown armor because a lot of it was
Yes.
like he's been through some stuff.
Yes, we got the realism, right? I mean, this is all what the Star Wars original trilogy is built on. Is just used universe, all the things grimy. I just love seeing dirty stormtrooper gear, man. It's just great.
All right.
Next
yeah.
up,
Yep.
next up, we have this shot of the Inquisitor with the lightsaber, and I mean, this is an interesting thing because what it shows us in this image or this quick clip from this is that the Inquisitor's lightsaber design has not changed. It does spin, and that's
Yeah.
a cool feature that we see that they don't they're not augmenting themselves to spin it quickly. It's just literally the mechanism in the lightsaber. Whether or not they go spinning around like a helicopter, I hope they don't do that. But who knows? Who knows?
No, it was cool to see it like as it was doing because it was slow. It was slow at first, and it sped up. So like, you
Well-
can control the speed of it, which is dope.
Ah,
Yeah, I think it's also to note in there for this discussion, that's at the point in the trailer where the Inquisitor's saying, "Where is he?"
Mhm.
So, just to throw that in there, like, obviously, I mean, we're assuming it's Kenobi he's talking about, but it's cool they still kept that design. I was wondering, when we heard Inquisitors were coming to the series, I was wondering if they were actually going to do it. And like you said, Chris, man, that would be super weird if they have the Inquisitors fly off from Kenobi with their spinning lightsabers.
oh,
But
man.
that would be okay. That would actually be really weird. But yeah, I don't know. It's just cool they incorporated that design.
Yeah. So there you go. That continuity paying off. So, Milton, do you want to talk about this one? Because I know you're not a huge fan. Now, this one didn't bother me quite as much as the Grand Inquisitor, but
All right.
let's talk about the design for the fifth brother.
Ooh. All right. So, I feel the same way about with this one. Maybe I'm just being too over the top. And look, I'm all about making the adjustment and eventually like this is why I need to watch the show. Obviously, I think if I watch the show and I'm like, okay, I can live with it because the character's consistent in the personality, fine. But just the look, like because I can't watch the show right now, I'm only seeing something. Like I
Yeah.
don't like to me it's like that's the best you can do. Obviously this character, I mean, I was in love with him, obviously, but I was in love with Grand Inquisitor. It's like I don't know, man. It's weird to me, you're right. Maybe there's a whole actor thing, like they want to see their face, all that type of stuff, and you have to like put that interpretation in a real life. But it's like, it's just not great. But again, it's not a great shot when it comes to being lit. So maybe I'm just not seeing all the facial articulation yet.
Yeah, Ben?
I mean, I can totally see where I can see where the criticisms come for the Inquisitors in that way. But like you even mentioned in there, we are judging this all off of a 2-minute trailer. Like hey, we could get into this show and like you both could flip and go, oh, the Inquisitors look great, and I think they look terrible. Like it just depends on how it plays out in the show. Like we're judging this all off like a 2-minute trailer. And, the Inquisitors are in the trailer probably for like, I don't know, 30 seconds maybe. Like, so I just don't, it's hard to glean from it one way or the other, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like this. I do like the shot. As I mentioned earlier, I like all the Inquisitor shots. I think they look fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this one looks a little bit better just because like if you're comparing it to like the animation version, I don't even know what his species is to be honest with you, but it's not like we really know like I don't know. This one I'm more fine with, I guess. Um but we'll see. What I like about this
Yeah.
though is just the background. This reminds me a lot of Nar Shaddaa, where it's just
Hmm.
like all the neon lights and just a lot of people around. It's cool seeing stormtroopers in this environment
Well,
with just
did
the
you see?
reflections.
Yeah, just to throw in there, did you see? I believe it was Deborah Chow saying, I'm pretty sure they inspired that off of Tokyo or Hong Kong,
Yeah.
um, is what they inspired that off of. So I thought that was a cool, like, I love seeing
Yeah.
those, real world inspirations in Star Wars. So that's cool that they incorporated that.
I mean, if that's the case, we're gonna have like a Star Wars Tokyo Drift type thing going on because like I don't want Vin Diesel and all those guys showing up in
Ha!
a like just saying, man, like yeah.
Yeah. This next one here I have is real quick in the trailer. I was able to capture. There's a sequence with two escape pods jettisoning off and looks like different directions now. They look like escape pods from A New Hope.
Mm.
Probably not from a Corvette or whatever. But I just thought it was interesting. Okay, two people on the run. Who the heck could it be? That sort of thing. No idea.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here.
I, I, yeah, I will not comment on that. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like just from the shot alone,
Wait,
it,
when you say you
it
don't comment, you know something, don't you?
maybe. But
Okay.
just from the shot alone, if we're talking strictly, if we're looking at the isolated shot, obviously, there's some people trying to escape something, I guess I would say. But
I mean,
anyways,
I get it. I mean, I read some of the Jason stuff at one point. Like, I didn't read everything, but I read like maybe a couple. Yeah.
yeah,
I've been trying to avoid all spoilers as possible.
But here's the thing, though. I will say like this is the one show where I really don't know anything. Like, yeah, even though I read a few things, like I'm still not like I don't know the big picture. So I'm like, okay, like I'm okay. I'm good with not knowing anything for this show. Most of the time, I can read spoilers and still go in and be happy and get surprised. But no, I think this show because I love Obi-Wan too much and I love this time period. I think I'm just gonna just let things ride out and just watch the show.
All right. Well, I'm very excited about this next shot we see of Riza looking like she's fed up with not getting the answer she seeks and just draws her lightsaber on somebody. I like the lightsaber design. It's not your traditional Inquisitor double bladed either, right? It's just like it looks like just a regular single bladed lightsaber. So I appreciate she's
Right.
going for like the traditional lightsabers as opposed to some more of the gimmicky versions her compatriots have. But I think that's pretty cool. Is that Owen Lars there in the foreground? You think?
No, I don't think so.
let me zoom in. No, I don't. I don't think so either.
Okay, that was my first reaction. Is oh
Not
crap,
sure.
like that's Owen Lars, but
Maybe see this is a cool thing too. With I'm glad they're including Owen so much. I mean, obviously that's not him, but just in general, like it's going to really set the tone of like that crazy old wizard comment he makes in the New Hope.
yeah, I mean he's gonna
Yeah.
be in the conflict. He's gonna know about these
Yep.
so-called wizards.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah.
Next up, we have some Jedi in hiding, it appears, because there's the Jedi symbol, the Jedi Order logo symbol. And I think that could be Reza looking at this. Not quite sure, but there's other etchings in the wall. We're not certain where this is, but again, this is
Mm.
10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and I could see like there's like trying to be a Jedi uprising somewhere, like everybody wants them to forget about the Jedi, but there's going to be
Right.
a sect of people like the Church of the Force and some other Force user follower people that are going to be like, let's keep the hope alive for the Jedi Order, and I can see that there's like little networks all over the place that could be kind of spreading that image, the message of hope.
Is it kind of like their Star Wars version of the Underground Railroad, maybe for Jedi?
Oh.
Oh, that's actually a very good example, Milton. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's probably exactly what that is, or at least
Listen,
something.
Lucasfilm, hire your
That's
boy.
that's
All
that's
right.
that's actually, now that you say that, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Like, why else would a symbol, like, obviously Obi-Wan's not going around doing
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
maybe that could very well be like a Jedi Underground Railroad system, and then Reva like looking onto it, like, what is this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go, Milton. Tie it into your beginning thing. Maybe Reva finds this symbol, and that's what springs into the whole Tatooine,
Maybe.
searching
And that's
Tatooine
the
thing.
thing. I think that there's no way they just show up. Like no one wants to. It's like no disrespect to Ohio, Ben,
Yeah.
but ain't nobody trying to vacation in Cleveland. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well,
So
but no,
who's trying to vacation at Tatooine or showing up to do something to Tatooine? You have to be sent there for a reason.
well, like no one, for example, my small town I live in has like 10,000 people. It's way out in the country,
Yeah.
fields everywhere. No one, like, for example, like this in the Star Wars universe, no one would come to this town like searching for somebody like without a
Yeah.
reason. Like no
Yeah.
one would come here for a reason.
Yep. Like Defiance, Ohio has to be something has to trigger like the government to say we gotta go there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's like a catastrophic event that's pulling us to this little small town.
Hey, fun little side note for our viewers and listeners. Anybody that likes Law and Order SVU, on an episode about 3 weeks ago, one of the main criminal they were looking for on his license, he was from Defiance, Ohio, and I thought that was like the coolest shout out. I was like, yes, we're famous on SVU.
Nice.
Oh man. Okay, so next one here. This is gonna be interesting. It's like, all right, why are you bringing a blaster to a lightsaber fight, whoever you are? Because this can't end well. We got some stranger in an alleyway with Reva the Inquisitor, so who knows what's gonna happen.
You
I mean,
know,
this could be Obi-Wan because it looks like in the next shot it's Obi-Wan with a blaster. So
I
could
think
be.
it's him. I think it's Obi-Wan when he was in hiding. I really do. I think it's him. He's going to run into her, maybe. Or obviously, he'll run into her at some point, but I think he'll run into her. Like, I think we're going to be seeing Obi-Wan. Like, he is not going to use his lightsaber unless he absolutely, like, is getting his, her bearing her lightsaber down on his head or something. Like, I think he's going to be really just wielding a blaster for early parts of this series, anyways.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I was seeing stuff on Twitter. There, people are like, "Oh, that's Han Solo's gun," blah blah blah. I'm
No.
like, stop with that stupidness. Like,
No.
no. Yeah, I can see this being Obi-Wan. I mean, I need to understand why he's there, but yeah, I can see it happening.
Yeah, so we'll see because the next shot, as I mentioned, is of well, I tried my best to get a good capture. I know it didn't come out very well. Those of you that are watching the video, but basically, audio description here is somebody's ducking behind something on a roof as other people are firing at him, and he's firing back with a blaster. So it's interesting because we know that Obi-Wan hates using blasters. He says a line in A New Hope. We later see him take out Grievous with a blaster, and here we go again, 10 years later, using a blaster. So as much as he hates them, for practicality, he's got to be forced to use them in certain situations, and that's basically all the time, since he can't use a lightsaber like Kanan Jarrus is just like lights up his lightsaber in the middle of a fight, and it's like, well, you're screwed now, Kanan, because now everybody knows you're a Jedi, so.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think story-wise, it just makes sense for him shooting people up instead of like wrecking them with a saber. I mean, it's not like he's trash with a gun neither. Like he's nice with one. I mean, hell, he's got the Force, so all you gotta do is just tap in the Force and shoot somebody. It's over. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I completely agree. I think it will be an interesting take, because I feel like in people's like subconscious minds of Star Wars, even like just for like casual fans that have seen the movies a few times here and there, they remember Obi-Wan and Revenge of the Sith throwing the blaster side, going so uncivilized, so like I think it'll be an interesting take on Obi-Wan like actually using a blaster consistently.
Yeah.
And our last significant shot from the trailer, it's just a good close up on Obi-Wan. I mean, I think now is a good time to have a conversation about the aging of Tatooine. I mean, yeah, he doesn't really have too much gray going on yet, but of course, 10 years later he's gonna have that, and whatever
He
happens in
looks
this
like he's
show,
50 something. He looks 50 something years old. Like Chris,
yeah,
he looks older, and that's like. And look, Ewan McGregor, I think is 50 in real life, but I'm sure he looks better than this.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like he looks so like beat down compared to last time we saw him.
and I feel like all the events he's gonna go through in this is gonna make his hair grow gray. That's for sure. Like by the end of
Yeah.
this trailer, or no, by the end of this series, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like him with gray hair. Like they do a lot of makeup, and it's like maybe a fast forward 5 years after the events of
Mm.
all this stuff that goes down, and you see like our closest connection. Maybe if they even do, I bet maybe they'll even do like some CGI stuff on him at the last shot of the show is like gonna be him basically looking like Alec Guinness at that point, or at least like a couple years before.
Yeah, I mean, hell, they got the technology to make Luke look good. I mean, you're telling me they can't splice Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness like together, which they could because I believe in the episode 3 documentary, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong here. Do you remember there's a scene where they're working on like Obi or Ewan McGregor's like makeup in his hair, and they're like, "Hey, how can we match him up closely to like Ewan McGregor or Alec Guinness?" And they look at the triangle dot, like the triangle points in her face. They're like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
line
yeah.
up perfect. They line up perfect, and I'm like, huh. So they got the technology to make this work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they definitely do. I think there's a chance for that. I think there's a chance also just for straight up graying because of a potential of a season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd want to like lean on CGI. Just because we have Ewan. So I feel like for sure we're gonna have grays on him. It's just real funny to think about like with him. Like even though Alec Guinness is only like 63, he definitely looked like an old 63
Yeah.
in A New Hope. But it's funny, like that's only maybe 10 years after this series, and then how much older even Joel Edgerton and then the girl that's playing
Bonnie
Aunt
Peace.
Brew,
Yeah.
Bonnie. Like it's just funny, like just that's just funny headcanon, like thinking how rapidly they age in 10 years. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be really cool either way how they do it. I do think, though, I agree with both of you guys. Like, we're going to see some type of aging to Obi-Wan by the end of the series, like some grays, some like change
Chris, can you hear
like
me?
that to his character.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello?
Yeah, we're here. We can hear you, Milton.
Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Milton.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It looks like my computer froze a little bit. I don't know what happened.
What
But
happens?
no, I was agreeing with your points. I just want to make sure that I was still part of the live feed because my computer just stopped. It was being weird.
Oh,
Shoot.
yeah. We
Yeah.
can hear you now, Milton. We can hear you now.
Good. I was like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are all the notable shots I pulled out of the trailer.
I do.
Go ahead.
I do
Go
think-
ahead.
Yeah, I do think it is noteworthy to point out before we wrap this part, though, directly after the shot when the trailer's closing, though, we hear the Anakin theme music, or the Anakin music when Anakin's crying on Mustafar. That's the music we hear at the end of the trailer is, when he's crying. And the cool thing about that is, for anybody that hasn't read the episode 3 Revenge of the Sith novel, like in Anakin's mind in that scene, when he's crying on Mustafar after all he's done, he's basically thinking to himself, like, how did I fall from being, I want to be the best Jedi and pilot in the galaxy, to this? Like, he's like almost regretting what he's done. Like, he's thinking about those things that he's done. So like that's a cool like little insight to Anakin's character, and the fact they add that music to the end of this trailer like puts to me that signals to the point. And then of course you hear Vader's breathing over top of that. So like to me that really signals. I think we're gonna get like some, I don't know guys, like how you describe it, but like Anakin like struggling right now, maybe struggling like with some of this stuff potentially.
See, I don't know. See,
or
I hear
something,
what you're
or
saying.
having
Yeah, I hear what you
flashbacks maybe.
right. I think we might get some internal monologue or thought process with Vader. But I don't think Anakin's gonna struggle. I think right now he's in the prime of Vader. I mean, I think he's like, listen, I put Anakin's on the forefront, like
Yeah.
he's behind me. I think you might still get doses of that, but nah, this is like I'm wrecking everything, Vader.
Or well, I'm thinking more along the lines of I think after we've seen it in Boba Fett, I bet you when we go to Vader's chamber, that's when we're gonna get like the flashback. Like
Oh, that'd be tight.
maybe, hey, here, I mean, it's not even speculation. Ewan literally talks about Obi-Wan and Anakin in scenes. So
Yeah.
maybe when Vader goes into his chamber to meditate, we get a flashback to Clone Wars with Hayden and Ewan.
Oh man, I could use some flashbacks. Oh, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I just think with this series, like, there's no point in bringing in Hayden if you're not going to do flashbacks. Like, I really don't think that will happen unless the only way that wouldn't happen is if we get a Rebels moment, which I'd be totally down for. Don't get me wrong. A Rebels moment, like Obi-Wan slashing off Vader's mask and like Anakin fighting without the mask on for a little bit or something.
Yeah, fighting the mask, try to survive without the breathing apparatus, with the meditation chamber and all. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it for the trailer. And hey, it's one of our things, right? We talk about not even a 2-minute trailer for an hour and a half. So there you go. But we're not done yet. So there's a couple images, and we'll save the gaming stuff for next week because I should have known that we wouldn't get there, but I was like, there's hope. So we'll talk about that next week. So anybody wants to know about that stuff. But breaking down just a couple more of these images. First off, I think it's cool to say that Entertainment Weekly's last issue is going to be the one that features Obi-Wan Kenobi on the last printed version of the cover for this legendary Entertainment Weekly magazine. So, and that's a great shot too of him. Man, oh man, does it look good? Man.
Like,
so good.
I'm so I just can't help myself, guys. Like, I know I'm probably nerding out tonight, but I don't even care. Like, it's Ewan McGregor, bro. Like, there's so many predictions I have for the show, like when it comes to what's gonna happen and what he's gonna be doing. I just want to talk about every move he's gonna make because there's no way, and I think, and this is something my brother and I talked about. There's no way in this show that you bring in new characters, like I'm talking about new good guy characters, to take away the attention from Obi-Wan. It just wouldn't make any sense. Like, he has to be the main good guy.
Yeah, until they bring in, Kyle Katarn or somebody, then it's like that'll take all the spot.
Don't be bringing in Cal Kestis and get like all of them. Like, I don't care about them. I want to see Obi-Wan fight Inquisitors and fight Vader. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with you. Like, I definitely want the spotlight on Kenobi. I think we will get a healthy dose of, maybe some of the early episodes will be kind of 50-50 split with like building the threat of the Inquisitors. But as the series goes on, I feel like it's going to just be mainly focused on him, And like this cover, like you said, Chris, it's a fitting end to Entertainment's physical print. And I think the cover looks great. Like, and just like the nerd in me, of course, like Obi-Wan looks amazing on Tatooine and stuff. But man, guys, like, just to add to like our flashback talk, just slap a set of clone armor on top of his shoulders in that shot. And like, man.
Fire. Yeah, so I'm just cycling through a couple of the images here. One of them is, Obi-Wan's looking like he's peeking around a corner, kind of doing something clandestine, kind of just doing maybe some investigation of what's around the corner, So that's pretty neat. This one here, though, is what I want to focus on. This one was probably one of the most interesting ones. It's in this very, like, blue hue cave where it's saying, this could be a good spot for some introspection and maybe a talk to a Force Ghost master. Who knows? So I really hope that Liam Neeson somehow makes an appearance as a Force Ghost Qui-Gon Jinn
Yep.
and gives some advice to Obi-Wan, since Qui-Gon had a lot to do with bringing Anakin into the Jedi Order.
Mm. No, this is where I was saying some of my predictions is like, I think this is where we get the interactions with Yoda and with Qui-Gon Jinn, like
Oh, Yoda.
like them training, like to commune with the dead. I think this is where we get this. It's in this scene, or not the scene. This reminds me of like the I don't know if you guys are religious or not, but like the burning bush, like story of like Moses going into like the cave or whatever, seeing the burning bush, talking to God through the burning bush. Now I'm not saying I'm going to use that type of like analogy, but I can see this cave setup as like very spiritual. He's going to see something that's going to like trick his mind a little bit, and he's going to start communing with like with Qui-Gon.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you guys. Like I think that'll be, I don't know, however he gets there, obviously we know he has his house, so I don't know, have a cave out back. But however he gets to it, I feel like, like you said, Milton, maybe he like sees something and then like he turns around and he's like, I don't know, talking to Qui-Gon or Yoda or whoever. Like I feel like it will for sure be something like that. But I feel like maybe maybe we see this cave a couple times throughout this series, just because like maybe early on it's like a plot device for like if he's like hearing things in his head. Like maybe he goes to this cave, he tries to like, I don't know, maybe he tries to reach out in this cave, or he goes there for some reason and he doesn't, but then he's hearing all these voices of like Order 66 stuff. You know what I mean? Or like flashbacks to Order 66. Like because he's going to have some type of like introspection. Like we're going to have to get that flashback. Like, I mean, we hear him say in the trailer, like, the war is over, we lost, like all this stuff, like that line like really sets the tone of like, I think his character, like maybe that cave will be used as like a point of him, like kind of having a flashback to all those bad things.
Yeah, about to say, let's not forget too, though, like he's gonna have a lot of trauma. Like we haven't even touched on that tonight. Like the trauma he's gonna have to, like the trauma of him thinking he killed his friend, the trauma of losing his order, the trauma of losing his home and his government. Now having the burden or the trauma of losing what's her name? Padme. Knowing that Luke has a sibling out there and he can't tell anybody. Like Obi-Wan got the short end of the stick.
Mm-hmm.
Like he, if I'm him, I'm getting at least 20 hours of counseling a day.
And Yoda gets to go meditate on a jungle planet.
Yeah, yo, Yoda, I'm just gonna chill and be a weirdo and be goofy, but Obi-Wan's got to like actually watch a kid, bro. Like, like come on, man. Like, yeah, Yoda, he's weird.
So this shot kind of confirms what I was talking about earlier about that confrontation between Reva and Owen Lars, and this is just so much intensity in this image of just the stare down, right? Like he is standing his ground, even if it's because he needs to, maybe she doesn't know about Luke, but he knows that like she can't get in his way, so he's got to make a stand. So I thought this was a pretty cool image out of the bunch that I wanted to make sure I highlighted.
Yeah, I mean it's very much like that like that sheriff cowboy or standoffish. Again, we don't know the context, but I'm sure Owen Lars is probably thinking, get out of our town, there's nothing here for you type. So
yeah, I agree with you guys both. I think that'll be an interesting moment for us as the fans. Like, sure, we obviously know what happens with Owen, but it'll feel like he could get taken out right here. I really feel like, maybe by the time we get to this point where she's confronting Owen or, all the townspeople, maybe they've already set the tone for the Inquisitors of being like lethal or whatever, so that'll like kind of put us on edge for Uncle Owen. Like, oh my gosh, is he going to like get severely hurt or something here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the last image that I want to leave off on is something that will interest a lot of people. And that is our first look at Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan series. Now, mind you, there's not any like huge reveal. It's not like, oh my gosh, it's a new suit for Vader or it's Vader outside of the suit. But it just shows us like, hey, this looks like a shot from The Empire Strikes Back in the carbon freezing chamber on Cloud City. It's like the silhouette of Vader in the background. That's just very menacing. Like, Vader is the overarching villain, ultimately the antagonist in all of this. Obi-Wan, will he try to bring him back to the light side? Is he going to just try to kill him? What's the motivation? But it shows him looming large in the darkness in the background. So what was your first thoughts on this one, Ben?
Yeah, I thought it was a great shot. Again, like you said, it's nothing really like new we expected. To me, I was thinking maybe more along the lines of like, I think this could be like him leaving his meditation chamber potentially, or something along those lines. Like maybe coming out of it and standing for whatever reason, or maybe it's him getting ready to like, he's like on his high horse up here, and the Inquisitors are walking up to him, to like report whatever it may be. Like I feel like it's either going to be like a report, or maybe he's like coming out of his meditation chamber for whatever reason.
What if he has a different mask design that doesn't have a faceplate, and he's actually like walking out as Hayden Christensen, like, and you can see his face, and it's like, oh, maybe this is the design of the suit where he's like, oh, I'm actually able to get outside of this thing a little bit. I know it's probably asking too much.
Like
but...
I do think though, before I let you go, Milton, like I do think like if this is the chamber like sequence of like him leaving it or whatever, I do think when he's in the chamber, like he's 100% going to be like having the mask off. Like I think we're going to get a healthy dose of Hayden Christensen in this series. Is basically what I'm saying.
I was about to say, like, does that would like? I mean, if you know something, you can just like message me because that'd be kind of fire.
Oh no, I don't know anything about that. I can completely confirm I don't know anything about that. But I'm hoping. I guess I should reword. I'm hoping we get a healthy dose of Hayden Christensen, and it just falls back on my thing of, they're letting him do all these interviews. They're letting him, talk about the series. Like, they're not going to advertise. Like, realistically, look, Pedro wasn't in the suit for who knows how much of Mando, but we don't care. He's still a great, it's the Mandalorian's still a great character. Like, to me, you want to be pushing Hayden so much if we're not going to see him. And then,
he's a good ambassador, dude. Like let your, I think you said this multiple times. Let your stars like promote the movie or the product or something. Like
we said about Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's been the perfect spokesperson for 40 some years for Star Wars. And like, interesting thing too about Hayden with this article, he mentioned they asked him about Darth Vader, and he said we are going to see a very powerful Darth Vader for this series. So, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Whatever that
means. I mean, it's dude, fire, bro. Fire.
Heck yeah. So there you go, everybody. That is our breakdown, our very full, in-depth breakdown of a minute and some change trailer spaced out over about 2 hours worth of discussion. So, sometimes we have more to discuss from these darn trailers than an actual movie or TV episode themselves, as showcased in today's episode for Round Room episode number 49. We got so far this discussion so quickly, I even forgot to say what came out this week, so I'll quickly go over that. We had Crimson Reign number 3, which is all about this character called the Architect. I have my full review of that issue on the channel. It's all about this character that goes to Dagobah. Basically, long story short, Kira wants to take out the Sith, which she knows is Emperor Palpatine, Vader, after the events of Empire Strikes Back. So she's like, oh, what if we track down Yoda and get him to be an ally against Emperor Palpatine? So we get this character that actually tracks down Yoda to Dagobah. Her name's the Archivist. And she has some dark side study training. She's not a Jedi, she's not a Inquisitor, but she has some Force sensitivity. So she tracks down Yoda, has a change of heart, doesn't actually see Yoda, but goes into the cave, comes out of the cave as a different person, like it changes her, and she basically tells Kira that Yoda's dead. So Yoda, that's a way, because if you had Yoda involved, that would really screw up the timeline. So I'm happy that Charles Soule was able to write it out of the way there.
I was actually, I don't know about you, Milton, but I was getting a little nervous when Chris was talking right there. I was like, oh no, did they just bring Yoda into this
Yeah.
conflict? But
I'm like,
that's
bro.
actually that's actually a really good resolution. I was really really nervous when you were just reading that.
Yeah.
But something that was even more unexpected was in Han Solo and Chewbacca issue #1, written by Mark Guggenheim, famed writer in the Arrow series and different things. He's
Yep.
writing a new Star Wars ongoing comic book. It's all about Han Solo, about a couple years before A New Hope. Him and Chewbacca are running missions for Jabba, and their mission takes them to Corellia, and therein lies that Han meets his father. We thought that Han just never realized his father was alive because, we know Han is an orphan. He lived with the White Worms over there, worked for Lady Proxima. So that was a huge shocker. That was a cliffhanger. It was like he met this random guy in a bar, was just chit chatting with this guy, and he told him his name, and this guy told him his name, and it was like, wait a minute, we're both linked together, and they came to realize it's like, oh my God, you're my son, and oh my God, you're my father, and that's how the issue ended. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how those events unfold. I don't know how that's going to end. Probably not well for the father, I would assume. I feel like he's not going to make it out of there alive because how would the rest of Star Wars go with his father still alive? Yeah, it probably
Right.
could still go, but I'm very interested in the story, and it's cool again to see Star Wars comics kind of shocking us to this day with even some of our original trilogy characters getting some cool more backstory to them. So
Oh yeah, I think that's a really cool reveal. It's not too obviously it's a big character in Han's father, but it's cool because maybe you said this takes place what 2 years before A New Hope.
it seems like 2 or 3, something like that.
Okay, so
Right.
maybe this could depending on how the comic goes, that is maybe that'll help Han turn into more of a scorned person. Like maybe his father betrays him at some point in this series, and that'll make him more like hardened leading into the events of A New Hope, potentially.
So there you have it. That was the rundown of things that came out this week. Next week, we're going to see what happens. As I said, we were going to talk about some video game stuff tonight, but we just really don't have the time. So we're going to table that discussion for next week. We'll put that on the back burner for next week, and whatever news and whatever things we have coming out for next week. It's we know the Star Wars Celebration got announced to come out again this week, so I we're probably gonna have regular updates of what's gonna happen with that. I'll be sure to keep you guys up to speed on that and all the other things of Star Wars. We're in promotion mode now. Star Wars likes to spend like 1 week on each thing. It's like, okay, Galactic Star Cruiser, we're done with that. Let's talk about Obi-Wan. Okay, we'll put that on the back burner. Maybe Bad Batch next week. Who the heck knows? But yeah. So that's gonna do it for us here. I'm gonna continue painting my miniatures. And by the way, I never even showed this to you. I guess I was so excited again about the Obi-Wan stuff that I never shared my week in Star Wars. So I'll end off the show showing my little Fluttercraft here that I painted and
Oh,
built.
nice.
And this is like the Wookiees like little like and it's really cool
Oh,
because you
that's
have
sweet.
like the Wookiee that's in there, and he's like
Mhm.
throwing the grenades.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And it's yeah, there we go. So
Chris, I still try to figure out where do you store all this stuff because this is crazy.
well, this one I actually have to put on my shelf because like it's so fragile with those wings there, so I can't
Mhm.
really store it very well. But everything else I put in cases, and there's like all of them are underneath the pool table in the basement. But
Nice.
it's fun. And right now I just finished painting Yoda pretty much, so I'll be showing him off. I'll probably show off a couple of the Wookiees that I was working on earlier in the week because I have a game coming up this week that I'm be playing them in. So I had to kind of
Nice.
blow through these things that have been sitting around for months. So finally getting my butt in gear with these things, and that's how I've been spending the little bit of winter that we're having left here in the Northeast. So
That's what's up, brother. It's awesome.
yeah, what are you guys gonna be up to this week?
This weekend actually, probably biking. Like I've got my
Wow,
bike back.
really?
Today, yes. Like I like to ride bikes around my community because it's just another exercise thing. Look, I'm active all the time, dude. Like this whole fitness thing for me has been super serious. I work out every day, so I'm work out in the morning tomorrow. Go biking later. and I'll probably relax and hang out with some friends. I mean, there's no football, obviously, so that kind of sucks. But I mean, I'll watch whatever sports that are on, or just hang out with my friends and family and just go like be active.
There you go. So you can follow Milton on Twitter at Milton Weber 7. And what about you,
Yeah.
Bren?
Yeah, I'm pretty much doing the same thing. Working out. That's always a big thing. I'm down another pound. Plenty to go, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Yeah, so pretty much just working out. Like Milton said, there's no football, so it's the sad off season
Yeah,
now
dude.
until August. Because man, I'm
Yep.
already ready for it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all it's going to be is fitness, talking Star Wars on Twitter. Always interesting to see the discussions people have on the old Twitter platform.
Right.
And yeah, that's about it. Really, meal prepping like always on Sundays, getting the week ready, and talking with everybody about all of these things. And you can find me at Real Ben Maynard.
I do have a funny story to end the podcast. So I just thought about this just now. Yesterday I was at my office, and I have the Boba Fett helmet literally right behind me. I've mentioned this before. And so anytime I'm in a meeting, people can see it. So I'm doing a Zoom call, and my boss is actually sitting next to me, and we're doing a Zoom call with my coworker who's at home. And my coworker says to my boss, she's like, "Hey, where are you currently?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm sitting right next to Milton." And I said, "Wait, you don't see that Boba Fett helmet right behind her?" And she's like, "Oh, that stupid thing." I was like, "Are you serious right now?" Like, she's been trying to convince me to get rid of my Boba Fett helmet like for months since I
Oh my
moved into this
gosh.
office, and I'm like, it is not going anywhere. It's proudly displayed in my office. I have to send you guys a picture when I forget. Well, not next time I remember. So think about that when I'm doing virtual meetings and virtual court hearings, and there's a Boba Fett helmet literally like behind me.
That's so funny to think about.
Dude.
Like Milton being, imagine that, Chris, like Milton being all serious, like talking about court meeting stuff with a Boba Fett helmet in the background.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. It's like literally meeting with attorneys and supervisors and stuff. And like, there's the Boba Fett helmet. There's an Ahsoka action figure in the box. There's Luke Skywalker action. There's actually now to think about it, there's I think I have like the glasses, like these C-3PO and R2-D2 glasses behind me. Yeah, I'll have to send you a picture of my shelf. Like,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
do it.
Dude. It ain't going anywhere.
That's hilarious. That's
Yeah.
so great.
And-
That's so perfect.
And I have my certified Jedi Knight certificate framed in my office. I need to put it somewhere though. I don't know where to put it yet in my office. So yeah, dude, I might just put that back there so people can see that too.
Yeah, I might just end up like sharing the picture of your office if you remember to send it to us on next
Yeah.
week's show, and we'll go
Yep.
through each object as your Our Week in Star Wars. Right?
That's fine.
Milton, people will be like hanging on the wall. Is that your master's degree? No, that's my Jedi Knight certificate.
Certified Jedi Knight, baby. Let's go. $10. My boy's dad hooked me up years ago.
That's so awesome.
So there we go. We have some things to look forward to next week. But until that time, I want to thank everybody for joining us in the live chat. We had Dark Nerdy Gonzo, we had Christopher Weber, and we had Star Wars Infinite. So thanks everybody for joining us there. You can join us at 9 o'clock Eastern every Friday night here on Outer Rim Transmission. You can download us after the fact on any of your podcast platforms of choice. Just search Outer Rim Transmission. So for Ben, for Milton, and for me, Chris, aka Starrapter, thanks everybody for watching. This was Outer Rim Transmission number 49. Oh, wouldn't you believe it? Number 50 is right around the corner. Thanks for watching. May the force be with you always. End transmission. There we go.